Alright, I will see you for your moment out of High TV, XYZ of Face of Power 97.9. Maybe I wait a Lembele Empress Hana, Jumedia Cassia. I was a gun and Ibiad and Ibiachi, a coastal way, a Jumedia, Honorable V. Amapua, and then it Doma, and war Safaha, our my Ghana, Eddie, and Yasha, your mom, when you kind of side for Dr. Lidino, anyway, and they are a Kayet to Sarabaya, and no man would jump, no man will Kaya, no man will Yama, or my Ghana, the Baba and Kayet, and Yama, Ghana Fenang, and then Rajo, as another Ebano, while she will TV the Swan, Keka, Captain Smart, and a Doma would want a year, Keka, now, Agent, and Yama, a year, or side of the Dry a war, if you are going to you won't walk, it's a said you don't want it, don't go. Any city, not and run on this argument, and you said me, anyway. Another day, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, and he's in front of me. Let your people take I know this semi far aside for Dr. Kwame. Your card.
The man, Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, was a man of unparalleled vision. When he declared that the independence of Ghana is meaningless unless it is linked up with the total liberation of the African continent, many people did not understand why he would say this. But he was not only merely speaking for Ghana, he was speaking for the whole of Africa. His vision was a bold one. He dreamt of an Africa that was united in its political, economic, and social liberation. This is a vision we're still struggling to fulfill up to date, even half a century after he passed on. But Nkrumah's greatness wasn't in the ideals he held alone. It was in the tangible progress he made towards realizing those ideals. Under his leadership, Ghana became the first African nation to gain independence from colonial rule south of the Sahara. And Ghana became the black star of hope for other African nations. After independence, Ghana became the headquarters of the African Liberation Movement. Freedom fighters from all over Africa were given refuge in Ghana, and they carried Ghanaian diplomatic passports in order to avoid getting arrested when they traveled internationally. All over Africa, Kwame Nkrumah is included in the educational curriculum of schools in African countries for the study of African history. Decolonization is recognized as one of the momentous events of the 20th century, and this is why Kwame Nkrumah was named as the African of the Millennium by the BBC. Today we are reminded with deep sadness that the work Nkrumah started is not completed. The future Nkrumah envisioned, a prosperous, united Africa free from exploitation, still calls progressives across this continent to action. The liberation struggle is not over yet. But the question is, what happened? What or who truncated the vision and set us back this way? Before we can fully embrace the vision of Osajifo, we must first dispel the divisive and needless debates that have recently intensified to try to obliterate his legacy. There are those who seek to dilute Nkrumah's role in our history as the nation's founder by introducing the idea of a Big Six. Let me be clear and unequivocal here. While many far beyond the Big Six being bandied around played significant roles in the independence struggle, Nkrumah was that critical catalyst that brought the struggle to a head and eventually resulted in the historic liberation of Ghana from colonial domination. The so-called Big Six were an accident of history and not a united force. And the historical record shows this. In fact, some of them actively opposed Nkrumah's vision for a rapid move towards independence. Ladies and gentlemen, indeed, at the time the struggle for independence had crystallized, the UGCC, which was the party of the Big Six, was opposed to the granting of independence by Britain. And this is a historical fact. At the time Britain was getting ready to give Ghana independence, the UGCC, which was the party formed by the Big Six, opposed independence. They actually sent a delegation to Britain to present a petition to Queen Elizabeth not to grant independence to Ghana. How can such a reactionary movement now claim the collective honor as being founders of our nation? Indeed, on 7th August 1956, the UP, which is known as the United Party, which is a successor of the UGCC, opposed and walked out of Parliament when Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was moving the motion of destiny, which was the declaration of Ghana's independence. On 7th August 1956, Kwame Nkrumah was Prime Minister, and he was moving the motion for full independence for Ghana, and the United Party, which was a successor of the UGCC, walked out of Parliament because they said they didn't want to be part of the declaration of independence. And so how can people turn around now and say that they collectively were founders of this nation, Ghana? The hatred and bitterness harbored by those who disliked and hated Nkrumah still erupts from time to time, as exemplified in the recent outrage that was expressed by the whole nation at the description of Kwame Nkrumah in the derogatory term of "that's your Kwame Nkrumah." Sam Kwame Nkrumah no. Mr. Chairman, Nana Chairman, my brothers and sisters, history cannot be revised. No matter how you fill our children's textbooks with different versions of your history, Founders Day must be a day that recognizes Nkrumah, the leader who delivered independence to Ghana and whose vision was continental in scope. The next NDC government, inshallah, in January 2025, will seek to remove the distortions in our history and restore Kwame Nkrumah to his rightful place in the history of Ghana. To celebrate this great man, the next NDC government will recognize this festival, titled Journey to Nkrofo. Let me take that again. To celebrate this great man, the next NDC government will recognize this festival with the title The Journey to Nkrofo as one of the official events on Ghana's tourism calendar. This festival will become a Pan-African pilgrimage for progressives from all over the world to visit the birthplace of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah.
Hundreds and hundreds of facilities across the country. We celebrate him because even after 52 years after his sad death on another man's land, ladies and gentlemen, we cannot honestly in 2024 survive as a country without the Osagyefo's legacy. Can you imagine Ghana today without the Akosombo Dam? Think about it. Can you imagine Ghana today without a Mahama? Think about it. Can you imagine Ghana today without that motorway that makes every business possible? Can you imagine Ghana today without the Accra International Airport, now Kotoka International Airport? Can you imagine Ghana today without the essential institutions that the Nkrumah established? When you live here, think about it. Can you imagine Ghana without Ghana Cocoa Board, Bank of Ghana, SNATE, Ghana Commercial Bank, Agriculture Development Bank, Temawa Refinery, and so many? Want to know why we need to celebrate him? We celebrate him not only for his remarkable achievement, but also because he's the only president in Africa's history who documented his vision and laid out a roadmap for economic emancipation. As we reflect on Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's legacy, we recognize his vision and contributions and note that they remain profoundly relevant today. I'm not for so bad,